Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 2 playthrough! It's time for us to go on to New Worlds. Or, I should probably say New World, because there is one world that we can possibly go to, but we are not going to go to it right until the end of the game, because that is the point at which we can just go through it in one nice fell swoop. Or, we can go to the world that we're actually going to go to, which if you kind of haven't been able to tell what it is yet, it's based on Pirates of the Caribbean. It's Port Royal. But obviously before that, we've got to do another gummy ship segment. Hurrah! Now, it's at this point that it probably would have been a smarter idea for me to go through the gummy ship segment for Atlantica, which is just sitting off to the corner there, which we're not going to for a while, because then I could have gotten High Wind level 4, but I didn't, so I don't get that for ages. So we've got to go with High Wind level 3 for this one, and I think that's going to make it slightly more difficult than it really should be. So, let's do this. Now, good grief, these things are big. It's a giant enemy crab. Like, blooming heck, that is just ridiculous. Oh, it's not quite a crab, it's more of a turtle-y type thing. Yeah, I basically have absolutely nothing to say about these gummy ship segments anymore. Like, I've just covered everything, and there's so much more of these, it's really bad. So I apologise for any worthless blathering that you may or may not hear in the foreseeable future. I will, however, have potentially something fun to talk about for the next gummy ship segment that we actually do, because it's got a really, really, really awesome song. Like, it's probably everybody's favourite gummy ship level song in the game, because it's so good. Also, while kind of it's very difficult to tell what's going on during these segments, there is a really cool thing of these enemies here that are shooting at us are very, very similar to one of the organisation members, and very similar to a particular type of nobody, these snipers, who we are not going to meet for a very long time, because in general the nobodies don't really turn up until the second half of the game. And I am serious in that. Kind of, you just don't face them. They just don't turn up. So the first half of the game is normally a heartless experience, and then it just becomes a nobody, and then everything just gets destroyed. Also, I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of the world we're going to. It's like, I love the Pirates of the Caribbean films, or at least the first one was excellent, and then it sort of went a bit weird, and then after the third one it got really up its own arse for number 4, and then they're doing a 5th one, which is just like the worst idea in the world, to be honest, because there is a distinct problem of using a Johnny Depp character and using him as the primary narrative plot. It's like the reason that the original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy worked is because Captain Jack Sparrow is a sort of technically a minor character. He's off to the side of the narrative, which focuses on Elizabeth and Will. they're kind of the main driving force, and then you've got the quirky antics of Captain Jack Sparrow. When you decide to put the focus on the quirky antics of Captain Jack Sparrow, everything starts to crumble a bit and it becomes really tiresome. So you've got to be kind of very on it when you decide to do things with quirky side characters. But either way, it's time for us to head into Port Royal. And we are about to get a massive art style clash. It's the worst I've seen in the entire series. I mean, Jesus, look at that. We're all so colourful and it's all so dark and blacky.
Wow. This place is
kinda different.
You think? It's just a teeny tiny little bit different. It's not like so ridiculously different that, you know, it just seems weird. And it really does seem weird. It's like I can totally understand why they decided to include Pirates of the Caribbean, because, I mean, 2006 was, like, the height of its popularity, really.
only one way to find out.
Because the first film came out in 2003, and the third film came out in 2007. And the second one came out in 2006, so kind of that rush through is kind of, it's, you can see why it was so popular and why it got put in here. But it really does have a bad case of kind of art style dissonance. It's like when in later games they decided to go to worlds which feature how do I put this? Kind of actual human beings, so it's like live action. It works better because it was Troy. Troy? Tron. You see, I've got the Greek mythology still in my brain from when we were in Olympus Coliseum. But Tron and Tron Legacy and Dream Drop Distance. So that works because they managed to get a nice balance between the Kingdom Hearts art style and the style of the films. Whereas here, they hadn't quite managed to figure out how to do it properly yet. So what we get is an attempt at incredibly realistic characters and an incredibly realistic world, and the ultra cartooniness of Sora and Donald and Goofy. Now, I should probably say now, the field theme for Port Royal is Knights of the Cursed, because that fits perfectly. And the battle theme is glorious, as you will see when we actually get to the battle theme, but I'll wait and hold off and have it as a little bit of a surprise, even though I'm pretty sure I've already said what it is at some point earlier in the playthrough. I am just going slightly crazy right now. You may have noticed, you may not have noticed. I apologise. This is what happens when you're in the middle of trying to write an essay and it's not going well, and you want it to go well, but it doesn't. Either way, it's cutscene time!
Aztec treasury?
Aye, and thanks to the curse put on it, we are neither among the living nor the dead.
Really? 'Cause you look like regular pirates to me.
Ah, but in the moonlight.
Whoa! Now I get what you were saying. Well, if you see two doofuses and a brat holding a keyblade, steer clear. They got a kind of magic that don't belong in this world, see? And nobody knows what it'll do to you, especially when the moon's showing what you really are.
A match for Barbossa, you say?
Hey!
See there? I knew it. Those are the punks I was telling you about.
Who are you calling punks? It's Sora, Donald, and Goofy to you, and don't you forget it.
That we won't, and we'll engrave it on your tombstone, to be sure.
Whoa, I like your style.
Men, half of you stay here and indulge these cullies. The rest, bring me that medallion.
Aye.
Oh, we only get to stomp on a few of you?
And here we go. He's a pirate, which is one of the it's in the film, and it's just like, ah! It's awesome. It's basically the only reason that this world is really any good, if I'm honest. And also, I think in the 2.5 HD remix, it actually sounds exactly like the music used in the film. It's just like, oh, it's so amazing. It's lost a little bit of its perkiness, I guess. So it sounds a bit slower, but it sounds much more like the original thing, so I prefer it.
What for? Weren't you listening to me before?
Hey, Pete, thanks for the tip.
Indeed, Pete, that was very, very helpful. Now, I should probably point out, Captain Barbossa, while originally played in the film by Geoffrey Rush, he is here portrayed by Brian George, who is probably most famous for his role as Babu Bart in Seinfeld, or as the father of Rajesh Kuthrapalli in The Big Bang Theory. But he has been in quite a number of things. So, I mean, apparently he's the Dungeon Maitre D in Robin Hood Men in Tights. He is Duff Killigan in Kim Possible. Guru Patik in Avatar The Last Airbender. And Boolonga in The Box Trolls, which came out very, very recently, and also Flintheart Glomgold in DuckTales Remastered. And he has been in other things as well. But yeah! So that's slightly weird. But I think it does a decent job at doing a Geoffrey Rush impression. And also, you saw just in that fight there, Wisdom form, it is easily the worst form in the game, because it's incredibly weak, and it just, ugh. It's like, it's really fun to slip and slide and shoot things from a distance, and to be perfectly honest, in certain bosses that can be quite helpful. But, kind of, it's so weak that generally it just takes longer to use Wisdom form than if you used Valor, so Wisdom form tends to get underused a lot, and I'm not going to use it that much here really either. I'm going to try and use it a few times to finish off a boss at the end of the world, but certainly not anywhere near as much as I would do otherwise.
Taking me. Let me go.
Elizabeth! Stop! What are they?
We'll deal with them. Go, take cover.
So, just there we heard Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner, who recently played by Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom in the films. But here, Elizabeth is voiced by Eliza Schneider, who also voiced Elizabeth in Pirates of the Caribbean: The Legend of Jack Sparrow. And she is also Rebecca Crane in the Assassin's Creed series. She voiced the White Queen in the Alice in Wonderland 2010 video game. Miss Decibel in Sly Cooper: Thieves in Time. And she was also a voice actress on South Park for a while, but she then left. And Will Turner is voiced by Crispin Freeman, who I have, I believe, already covered. I think. because Crispin Freeman does so much. Yeah, because he also voices Setzer and all that jazz, so I covered him then. But he does a particularly good Orlando Bloom impression as Crispin Freeman. He's very good. Also, we are going to be running around this area for a little while, because I want to get all the stuff. Because there's a lot of chests hidden about in this little room area, which is slightly frustrating, but it is fun. Now, seeing as we are actually physically in Port Royal, we might as well use this time to actually talk about what Port Royal actually was. So it is a real place that exists. So it's located at the end of the Palisadoes at the mouth of the Kingston Harbour in southeastern Jamaica. And it was founded in 1518 and was the centre of shipping commerce in the Caribbean Sea. But it has been destroyed by an earthquake in 1692 and a subsequent tsunami and fires. There's been severe hurricanes regularly, and also there was another severe earthquake in 1907. But basically, I think it was commonly known as a place for pirates to go. It was, yeah, notorious for its gaudy displays of wealth and loose morals. But it was a very popular port city, and was used quite a lot, I think. And yeah, we are going to be in this area for a while. It's very surprisingly big, and there's also a lot of things to blow up to try and get into different areas. Because there's lots of chests hidden behind these things, and it's very easy to get lost amidst it all and not be sure where you've actually gone. And that's why I'm just like, just gotta check my treasures. Don't want to miss anything. It's kind of important that I do have it all. It's not completely important, but I want it all. Just because, I mean, it makes sense. I want it. Also, you can see, like, Auto Valor and Auto Summon. They're not things that I will be making use of, because really, you want to keep your reaction command button ready for the reaction commands, and also the
pirates kidnapped my swan
limits.
and took her to their ship.
Those are much better.
Sailed, and I'll never be able to find her.
Then she's long gone. The Black Pearl is nigh uncatchable. Best find yourself another girl, mate.
You? What are you doing aboard the Interceptor? She's off limits to civilians.
Ah, fortunate that I'm going to commandeer her then. She'll make a fine pirate ship.
A pirate?
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
Take me with you. Help me hunt down the Black Pearl and save Miss Swan. I got you out of that jail cell, Sparrow. Do this, and your debt's repaid.
You'll have to win fair lady's heart alone, mate. I see no profit in it for me.
Come on, Captain.
Are you sure you can sail her? All on your own?
You've a point there.
Thanks, Sparrow.
Captain Sparrow.
I'm Sora. This is Donald and Goofy.
I'm Will Turner.
That will be short for William, I imagine. No doubt name for your father, eh?
Yes.
Well then, Mr. Turner, you get us ready to make way. I have some effects to liberate.
Aye, aye. But hurry!
Naturally.
You really want to be a pirate?
Of course not.
What do you make of this Will?
I don't know. We just met him.
I think my luck's about to change.
So yes, we have Captain Jack Sparrow as a party member, and it's awesome. So Captain Jack is voiced here by James Arnold Taylor, although obviously he was, formed by Johnny Depp in the original films. So, James Arnold Taylor has been in a lot. So, he is the voice of Milo Thatch in Atlantis Pilots Return, doubling for Michael J. Fox, of which I think he's done quite a lot as well. He's the voice of Leonardo in TMNT, Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars The Clone Wars. He is the voice of Ratchet, and has been, I think, for a very, very, very long time, I think. Since the original, yeah. He's also the voice of Tidus, or Titus, in Final Fantasy X and X-2. He's Lord Yggdrasil and Gnome in Tales of Symphonia, so that's where I've dealt with him before. He voices Captain Jack in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. He has also done a wealth of other things. He's done Obi-Wan Kenobi in other things. And he's just all everywhere. It's insane. So he was like the Flash in Young Justice, as well as many other roles. And he's just awesome. I can't remember if he's been in anything else. I mean, he has, if you look at his rather extensive Wikipedia page. But he's awesome. Also, I like this scene because it is actually a relatively good reproduction of the scene in the film. It's lacking quite a bit in its atmosphere when it comes to the end of the scene, but it is still pretty damn cool. It's awesome. It's a great scene.
Find it, we did. There be the chest. Inside be the gold. And we took 'em all. We spent 'em and traded 'em and fritted 'em away on drink and food and pleasurable company. The more we gave 'em away, the more we came to realize the drink would not satisfy, and food turned to ash in our mouths. We are cursed men, Miss Turner. Compelled by greed we were, but now we are consumed by it.
How very sad for you.
There is one way we can end our curse. All the scattered pieces of the Aztec gold must be gathered and restored to the stone chest. And the blood of every soul who touched a piece of the treasure must be repaid. Miss Turner, for 10 years we've searched every league of these waters, every town and village, preying on sailors and settlers alike. 881 pieces we found, but despaired of ever finding the last. All those years, you've been safe in your bed, reading your pirate stories, dreaming of adventures in the high seas. We've endured torments worse than death itself. But now, thanks to ye, we have the final piece at last. When this medallion is restored to the chest, we'll be free to roam the seas as men. No longer will we be ghosts.
And the blood that's to be repaid?
That's why there's no sense to be killing you. Yet. You see, the moonlight shows us for what we really are. We're not among the living, and so we cannot die. But neither are we dead. I've suffered too long. You'd best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. For you see, tonight, you're in one.